Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world, and welcome, welcome, welcome to this episode of Hit Talks Live. Yes, we are here again, and we have an absolutely amazing lineup of speakers again. 8 speakers speaking from 8 minutes from 8 different perspectives on hope, inspiration and transformation. And do you know that, again, we have gone all over the world. So we have Washington, we have Florida, obviously US, Washington, Florida, Chicago, we have India, we have New Zealand, we have Australia, we have another India, we have the UK, we have the Philippines. Wow. All here to share with you messages on hope, inspiration and transformation. And what we're going to do today is we really, as every episode of Hit Talks, we're going to go with the flow. So there's no selling, there's no positioning, there is just stories from the heart on hope, inspiration and transformation. And as you know, we kind of go with the energies of the ancient Mayan calendar. And the energies of today is all about debt. It's all about services. It's all about karma. It's all about giving. It's all about, like, let's say water, because when we think about water, water flows and it trickles, or it can be like pretty fast and pretty disastrous in some cases. So sometimes that's what life is about, really, isn't it? If you think about it, is that sometimes we can have nice calm waters. Other times there can be really big waves. So it's a kind of, a theme really that's running through the energy of today. And also, again, when we talk about karma and we talk about payment of debts, that doesn't always need to be money. That could be to, just giving somebody a smile, for instance, and actually doing something for somebody else. So an absolutely fantastic day, as always, to run this Hit Talks. And I absolutely love the connection of the speakers, of the coming from worldwide. Honestly, every single person I speak to melts my heart. And I'm going to go on to our first speaker of this episode, Tallulah, who's actually been with Hit Talks quite a few times, and her bio will come up, but she does melt my heart. She's just got this authenticity around her, just this power, but this inner power, and you can see her bio. I don't like to talk about bios. I like to talk about people from the heart. And when you hear her speak, you can actually hear the love, you can hear the passion, you can hear the determination that comes through. So all the way from India, welcome back to Hit Talks, Tallulah, and I now give you your 8 minutes.
Thank you, Vicky, and it's always great to be part of my tribe. Thank you for introducing me to this wonderful community of people whose only wish is to inspire, help in transformations, and give hope to the world with the stories that they share. Today, I thought I would talk about ethics and the value of money that the world lives around today. And these are basically expressions, observations that have come from the community classroom that I currently run. So during the pandemic, there was an opportunity to work with children, and many of the children needed help with taking care, helping them with their online classes. They had no access to gadgets, or phones or laptops. And during this time, there was also, a number of children who wanted to stay over a longer period of time, over a shorter period of time, because they were heavily addicted to playing games on the phones. And parents were finding it very difficult control this, because the only access to online classes was through devices and through phones and laptops. So uh, there were one or two incidents, when I was working with the children, when they were given ordinary tasks, that gave me an insight into how they perceive, doing work and being rewarded for the work. And it largely comes from getting privileges, because today every task, whether it's life skills or anything, children feel that they're doing us or parents or their teachers a favor. So there was one kid, who was given the task of doing his laundry, And I noticed that after putting the clothes in the washing machine, he was just sitting around. And when I asked him, is the job done, he said, yeah. you know and then I questioned him. I said, what about putting the clothes to dry, checking when the clothes are dry, whether they'll be folded and kept back in the place where he would need to access them when he wanted to use them. And he seemed completely flabbergasted, because he felt that those were tasks that he shouldn't have been doing. There was another boy who was given a task of organizing food or lunch with a couple of other children. And after a few minutes, I found them sitting idling around. And when I questioned them, each of them said that they had done their tasks in isolation, that I'd cut the vegetables, or I'd cooked the rice, or I'd cleaned the fish. And then when I asked them whether the meal was ready, they were clueless. you know and these give insights into how children look at basic work of taking care of oneself as a task that needs to be rewarded. And they look at tasks in isolation, not as something that they need to do it comprehensively. And therefore, I had to talk to them about my life experiences to be able to give them the value of why ethics, honesty, and sincerity are very, very important. And it took me back to the times when I had just begun practicing as an architect. And there was in as part of our practice, when the owner wants to build a house, let us say, there is a process which is a bureaucratic process where you apply to the government for permission to build a house. And today in most of the government offices, you find there's so much corruption. There's no application that gets approved without having to pay some money that is beyond what you're already paying in terms of infrastructure tax and processing amounts. And there was this one particular case where the construction process application took such a long time that we had to take work convictions where the building was built. And the local body members insisted that a token amount was paid to them. And we had to hold fort. We had to have patience. And we finally won, by being patient and being resolute with our values of not paying anything, you know and having got the permissions towards the end when the house was already built. Okay, so these are practices that happen. And children are very observant to how their parents or elder people behave, and what they convey through their actions. Because many a times we are talking about these incidents or instances, and they are looking at cues on future behaviors, or cues on how they need to take the certain decisions. So similarly, there was another incident where many years later, when I was doing well in my work, and the buildings that I was designing came to be recognized, that there was a particular contractor that approached me, and he said that, ma'am, there's a new job. It'll be fantastic if you can, suggest my name. And if you do that, then I will give you a commission, And I questioned him back, saying that, why would you pay me a commission when you have not delivered the work? And why would I ever do that, Because your recommendation that would come from me would purely depend on, your caliber of work. And that should be for everybody to practice. And when he reiterated, saying that all architects do that, all engineers do that, all professionals do that, I had to stand by my convictions to say that no, maybe everybody does that, but this is the value that I would like to uphold. This is the system and the way in which I would like to practice, where there are people recommended on a team to execute work because of the caliber, because of the value that they bring to the table or to the job. And recently, there were these kids with me who were traveling, to a particular town which is nearby, where very first time carpenter, requested me to meet him. And there were a couple of boys who were very interested in carpentry, so I took them out. And when I met this carpenter, he was so thrilled. And he came to me saying that, ma'am, I've got you a package. And it's a sort of a gesture of gratitude because you recommended my name for a particular project and I did the job well. And I said, does the package have money in it? And he was quite embarrassed and he said, yes. And I said, then why are you, offering me money? Your gratitude and your thank you is more than enough. And every action like that or every gesture doesn't have to be, equated to, money and needs to be commensurated by money. And he was quite shocked because he said that he had never come across anybody refusing, a packet of money as a token of appreciation. And I said that it is more important, that you help me with training, young kids who need to be, who need to do skill building, who are jobless, who are unemployed. And that would be the greatest gesture of gratitude instead of equating it to a certain amount of money. And I think today children are very vulnerable and they're watching us, they're watching adults, they're watching our actions. And we need to be mindful in the kind of values that we give our children today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was making notes there on what really, really came through to me then is you're talking about values for children, you're talking about integrity, you're talking about, really, really, as you say, the practices, the values and the practices. And what really came to me then is I've actually got a picture on the back of my wall that I actually had commissioned for my birthday. And it's Whitney Houston, the greatest love of all. And it's the words. And it actually starts off with, if you know the Whitney Houston song, which I absolutely love, it's actually, I believe that children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. And I'm not going to sing the rest of it, but show them all the beauty that they have inside. And this is the thing, it's actually showing our children, and as you say, literally you said the exact words, the values, the integrity, the beauty that they have. And it can be incorporated into any industry, whatever they do, whatever you're doing. And one thing you're saying about integrity that came to my mind as you was talking about that is that the more that we have integrity for ourselves, the more that people around us will actually have integrity for themselves, because it's a ripple effect. So it literally just kept me on my toes. So thank you so much for sharing. And I think it's quite early hours of the morning where you are in India, so we're going to stay in India. And we're sending all our love and blessings to your side of the world. And we are now, as I say, going to our next speaker in India, which is Ranjana. And I don't know if I said that right. I actually had a conversation with her a couple of days as I was walking my dog and we were in the park. I was in the park. And sharing the story of Hit Talks and what we're all about. And I could feel her soul. I could feel her energy. I could feel her love. Are you getting the theme of the speakers that we actually have on here? So yeah, she's a mindset coach. She's written books and she's implementing strategies and she's got action plans in place. I can't read the bio, so it's on there. It's on there for yourself. But I think her book was called The Workplace Superstar, or Superstar Workplace. She'll tell you. But again, it was just her passion of wanting to help people and, help them grow and help them be the best versions of themselves. So I can't wait to hear what your 8 minutes story is. So thank you for being with us all the way from India, and welcome to our Hit Talks family. I now give you your 8 minutes.
Thank you so much, Vicky. Thank you for this opportunity. And thank you, everyone over here. And today, let me just start with a real life story. There was a young woman who was undergoing a lot of anxiety and depression, and she was just, into a lot of difficulty in life because she was stuck. She did not know what to do, where to go, because she was going through a lot of difficult times with her health. Now, when we speak about health, we always speak about the physical health, but there is something called mental health. And that woman was getting into a lot of difficulty with panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and something called anxiety, some nervousness. And she could not handle it. It was very, very difficult for her. And she had to have the antidepressants, which was really, really bad at such a young age. And things were not improving because no medicines were helping her. Ladies and gentlemen, that her is me, Ranjana, here. And I'm very happy to say that after 7 years of having antidepressants, tranquilizers to work on my mental, anxiety and depression, I realized that nothing is going to work if I don't work on it. So what I started doing is I had two choices. One was either I sit and brood or I get up and show up. So one fine day when I realized the medicines are not working, they were all giving me temporary relief, I decided to change my mindset, my skill set, and my knowledge. I was young that time, mother of two children. I had to get up, show up, and show them the beautiful world around. So what happened? I decided on two things, and I tell everybody, all my students, I'm a coach, and all my students that work on these two things. One is growth and your self-leadership. So what is growth? Growth is basically, when you plan your growth, and when you have a plan A and plan B, it always helps. If someone like me who came out from all these anxiety attacks, panic attacks, can manage to do it, I can vouch everybody can do this. So what I started doing I started planning my own growth. I used to take the medicines, but I realized it's not going to work. What will work is my moving on in life with whole lot of happiness. So I first planned my growth. I identified, I actually got myself aware and got the clarity what I wanted from my life. And then I found out what is the why of my life. Why do I want to do it? Whatever I wanted to do. And I created a direction. After creating a direction, I realized that there can be obstacles also. So I created a plan A and a plan B. And with that, I planned my implementation strategy. And it worked really well by God's grace. I learned and I learned, but I unlearned whatever was there, which were all negative, and I started learning more and more. I got rid of all my habits, bad habits, which were giving me those anxieties, like overthinking, thinking negatively. I started working on those changed my habits. I changed my situation, my environment, and started working on it step by step. I faltered. I got up. I was resilient. I kept going. I worked on my plan A. I had my plan B ready, but I did not stop. After 7 years, I realized growth is the only power in human being which can keep them going. Second thing that I really, really worked on was on my self-leadership. Everybody around tried to help me, but it was not helping me at all because I did not allow myself, my mindset to change. So once I realized, I started working on myself. I took charge. I took my own responsibility. And I realized no one, like when you are in great difficulty, people will try to help you. But you are the one who needs to do a lot of self-care and help yourself. The universe will give you a lot of signals. You have to understand and acknowledge those signals and start working on your life and career goals. So what I did after going through such tough times, I started making myself more efficient and more productive. As I mentioned the word self-leadership. I did not work in any organization, but I was the leader of my own life. So I got intrinsically motivated, and I was like accountable for my own life. So I measured every progress. I didn't wait for anybody to help me anymore. I worked on my personal mastery, which was emotional intelligence, how to handle my emotions when I was getting deep down into difficult situations. I got more flexibility in my mind. I became adaptable. And when you need to work on your self leadership, you need to have a standard of excellence. You can't be complacent. You really, really need to have a mindset of excellence. So I started working on all these, and I never allowed any negative energy to attack me anymore. No negative thought. Because if I realize, if I get into the negative thoughts, I will become a victim again. And my victim mindset will just go away. So once I worked on my growth and my self leadership, I changed my life completely from a person who used to be always upset and sitting stuck in one corner doing nothing, from a coach who has already transformed innumerable lives. And I really, really feel that you are the leader of your own life, the people around, and the surroundings. So whenever you feel low or you see anybody feeling low, help them come out of it through their growth journey and self leadership. This will definitely help each and every one. So thank you very much. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, everyone, for your patient hearing. I'm done. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Do you know, as you're talking about that, energy just flows through, and it's like magical. It's just like, I kind of, how do I say it? I think sometimes I'm just like a magic unicorn, and I kind of know what you're saying, know what you're going to say. But all the viewers and all the speakers backstage and all the speakers that have ever been onto Hit Talks will know that I do not know what any of these speakers are going to speak about at all. They can speak about whatever comes through to them from the heart. But as you were talking about that, and you were talking about, planning and whys and desires and responsibilities, within my coaching community, I actually read out through repetition articles. And the article that we've been reading is about responsibility. And I want to just read this bit. So you've got glare on my glasses here, but I can't read without my glasses. It's so small. But I want to read this article out because it was on my desk, and I was like, oh, responsibility. And this person is my dear friend Bob Proctor's dear friend, called Val van der Waal. And he said, when a person takes responsibility for their life and the results they are obtaining, they will cease to blame others as the cause of their results. Since you cannot change other people, blame is inappropriate. Blaming others causes a person to remain bound in a prison of their own making. When you take responsibility, blame is eliminated and you are free to go. And he also goes on to say that those who win big in life take responsibility and create their own destiny. So it's a reminder, with everything that, from, as you say, from tranquilizers and from, the life that you were, by going inside and taking the step-by-step journey that you took for yourself and taking responsibility, look where you are now. So very, very well done. So thank you so much for sharing. Coincidence, as they say, or synchronicity, or as Deepak Chopra, my good friend, says, synchrodestiny. That's another word. So we are now going to fly all the way from India all the way to Australia, Sydney, Australia. I love it there. I was just speaking to Dean a couple of days ago. I did a speaking tour in Australia and spent some time in Sydney, and it was fantastic. And as I was speaking to Dean, he's British, so I said that's a very British accent from Australia, but his life journey. And we were speaking for quite a long time, because he's got this similar vision as I do, as Hit Talks does, about helping the youth. also, you know, when you hear his journey of what he's been through and how he's actually using his expertise to help people in prisons from working in prisons. There was something I wrote down, Dean, about you as well. And I wrote down about prime education, but I said, you're a fearless communicator. That's what I wrote down. And you know what, your book, Toxic Love, about breaking patterns for domestic abuse, you know, you're putting your experience out there in the world to help others. And this is the theme of so many people that are becoming part of Hit Talks family, is the deep desire of helping others. And your deep desire of helping others is very close to my heart, which is the youth as well. So I can't wait to hear your story, Dean. And I now give you your 8 minutes.
Oh, hello everyone, and thank you, Victoria, for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that, and thank you for the two speakers previously as well. I wrote down some valuable lessons that I will certainly take from both of those talks. Tallulah, I like the way you were talking about how us as adults are role models for our children. I fully, wholeheartedly agree with that. And Ranjana talking about the growth mindset and self-leadership and taking responsibility. So some wonderful messages there. So I'm with very like-minded people today. So what I wanted to share with you today is to talk to you about, firstly, is how our gifts can help our transformation, particularly when we want to break a cycle of self-destructive patterns. So I'll just give you a little bit of a framework to that before I go into the 3 gifts that I'm going to talk about for transformation. So back in 2015, I watched a documentary by the Representation Project, and the documentary was all about young boys and how young boys, as they're growing up, are conditioned out of that lovely free spirit that they are, that when you see a toddler, they're free to play and this wonderful, but unfortunately, due to societal conditioning, they take on the role of this sort of patriarchal masculinity, just through, no one's real fault or blame this situation. It's just the way that society portrays young men, and what that actually, how that damages a young man is it disconnects them from their emotions, and really it disconnects them from our heart and feeling into their true power. So this particular documentary really touched me. It was showing a lot of statistics around the boys as they turn into adults, or 3 times more likely to take their own lives. And this really sort of saddened me after watching this particular video. So my thinking, particularly in my background in working in a large youth offenders institute in London, was that the young men in incarceration struggled really with connecting to those things they really care about. Being in an environment like that can be very fear-based. It inspires emotions such as anger, which is, as men, we're taught that it's okay to show anger in society, but not to show any weakness. So this conditioning really affects young men, and it was something that, after this documentary, inspired me to create a program. And this program was called Young Men's Group, and the program was all about delivering primary prevention education to young men around about 15 or 16, to help them, particularly when they're across the roads, to develop those positive life skills which are going to help them move forward in their life, and to help break those self-destructive cycles. So it was done in 3 phases, and it completely is fully in line with these gifts that I was sharing earlier, that I was talking about, and it was based over 3 gifts. So it was a gift of the head, a gift of the heart, and a gift of the hands. So this program was based in 3 phases. So in the first phase, what it did was we took 12 young men aged around 15 to 16, and we worked with them on positive life skills. So we helped them to develop the theory, if you like, or the head-based gift of knowing how to develop the strategies which are going to move them forward in lives. So develop a knowledge and skill set which helps them to be more responsive rather than being reactive. So the second gift is around the heart. And this for me is the game changer. So the game changer is to help young men to tap into the gateway to what I feel is our gateway to health, which is vulnerability. So these young men, we would set them up to sit in circles. So we know in our indigenous cultures, men have been sitting in circles for thousands of years. So in sitting in circle, it's a container of safety and trust, and it allows men to feel that opportunity to express what's really going on for them. And what we saw was huge transformation. So when a man disengages from those more feminine qualities like compassion, empathy, we know that they become self-destructive. So what we saw in this particular circle was young boys sharing their experiences, sharing how they're really feeling, rather than trying to show the world something that they feel the world should see, these masculine, I'm strong and, nothing phases me. They started to show their vulnerability, and they started to say that, look, I'm actually really scared with what's happening at school, or I'm struggling to belong. I just don't fit in. And what they did was it gave permission to others in the group to also share from a vulnerable space. What was the benefit of that? It brought connection. It brought things like brotherhood. It brought the group so much closer together, which then led to the creation of phase 3 of the program, which was gifts of the hand. So when we refer to gifts of the hand, we're talking about being able to move from a space of working on myself, so it's all about me, to now, how can I take these gifts that I've learned and share with others? And what we saw here was amazing. We saw a group of young men become creative and work on projects that they could take out into their community to benefit others. Some of those projects, and I'll just bring one forward, and this was with a group of this was a multicultural group that created a video because they wanted to show the journey of a migrant leaving their country and arriving in Australia, so that other migrants could integrate into the community. And the video was called "Walking a Mile in a Migrant's Shoes." The video was so successful, it got shared amongst other schools and other community organizations. Such an amazing project. So in finishing now, I want to share with you, or I want to invite you to think about what your 3 gifts are. So what's your gift of the head? So what do you know about? What are you passionate about? What do you want to develop your knowledge in? Number 2, what's your gift of the heart? What do you care about? As Ranjana talked about finding your why, what do you care about? And finally, number 3, how do you want to give back and be of service? Thank you for your time. My name is Dean Quirke.
Thank you, Dean. I think that might be your 8-minute alarm that's going off. So great timing. And we've all taken something from that. And the inspiration is, as I say, the service mode. But as Dean said, think about what your superpower is. Now, we all, every single one of you watching the live, every single one of you watching the replay, you have a superpower. And if any speaker on here is able to help you go down deep to actually find your superpower, then we've done our job. But as Dean said, what is your gift, your head, your heart, your hands? And, finding out what your true passion is. spend some time dreaming. You know, how many times were we told as a child or growing up, stop daydreaming, stop looking out the window, and you need to concentrate and focus. And, you know, when you actually really find your passion, and going back to as we were saying earlier, your values and your why and your integrity, you know, that comes from us actually dreaming. That comes from us actually being and spending time with ourselves. So we're able to actually listen to the messages. Hit Talks was created because I listened. It was a message of actually a divine download. Every single part of Hit Talks, those of you that know us, you know that it's not created by me. I'm the person that's just delivered it. The 8 minutes, the 8 speakers, 8 different perspectives, round the infinity, the whole thing. No, not knowing what the speakers speak about, you know, not controlled, goes with the flow, goes with the energy, because it was given because I opened my heart, I opened my mind, and yeah, I opened my hands and said, please, universe, please give me something so I'm able to use my superpowers to bring people together. And that's why I urge every single one of you, what I took from Dean's talk, you know, your head, your hands, and your heart. Your head, if you're talking, if you're always procrastinating, that's using the wrong part of your head. But if you're using the head, which is feelings, your subconscious, which goes down into your feelings of what you really want and what you desire, then you put that into action with your heart. And then obviously you need to use your hands because you need to do things. So absolutely love it. Thank you so much for sharing. So now we are going back to the USA, and we also have an OG, we call them original gangsters. And these are amazing people that have been with us on Hit Talks before, and we love, love, love having them back. And Shannon's with us, and she has done so much. You know, she's literally, I'm going to read this out because, you know, the owner of the $1 Million Rolodex, she has really helped thousands and thousands of individuals in marketing, event production, and also business accelerator network. But on top of that, again, she has the heart. She really does want to be able to help people. She's got stories that you can really feel the power that comes through. Now, let's see after this whether or not we can spot Shannon's superpower, because I think I know what her superpower is. But welcome back, my darling, and I now give you your 8 minutes.
What an honor to be here again, and every time I'm just inspired by the work you do. And today I feel inspired, and I love that we can just show up and share what's in our heart after we hear the speakers talking about loving your neighbor, which is one of the oldest principles that we've heard. And you know, sometimes it's easy to love people when they're nice or the same as us. And I want to talk a little bit about loving your neighbor when it may be difficult. And so when COVID first happened, I partnered up with a family office here in Florida, and instantly we started a Love Your Neighbor community. We were like, you know, this is happening. There's so much going on in the world. How do we get people together to navigate this together? And so we started this Love Your Neighbor, and really, you know, feeling the many emotions of what was going on in the world, but just feeling this necessity to help navigate it together. And so we met a couple times a week. And the second time we met, I had just found out that my dad passed. And it was, you know, we ended up doing our virtual meeting from my cousin's house, and this, I have to say, was one of my first close deaths to, you know, in my family, and it was really, really challenging. And one of the things that I learned from this experience is that my dad didn't have his house in order. My dad, you know, he didn't have much, but he left it with so many unmet answers to questions, a mess, having to navigate with siblings that we hadn't done this before, and in that time period, we decided, you know, one of the greatest ways that we could one of the many ways, not to say, one of the many ways that we can love our neighbor is getting your house in order. You know, having those conversations up front with your family, And so we have this, this family love letter. And I'm like, I don't know about you, but I personally, I know we all are born and we die, but I was never really drawn to those conversations, or even, a little bit leery with funerals and things like that. But having this experience and having this time of where we really needed to come together and love each other, learning about this family love letter. And so as I'm sharing today, I just want to hopefully inspire you to look at, is your house in order? And so what happened is shortly after that, a few months later, I ended up having a great stem cell surgery. But I said, wow, this is a great opportunity for me to complete my family love letter and get with my children and actually have this conversation of, what do I want? How do I want it to be? Where do I want things left? And it was the most beautiful thing. It brought us so much closer. They asked me things that weren't even in the family letter, like, Mom, you have so many great books. Can you just make sure you write the 3 books that you want us to read? And I mean, it was just, and what about your siblings? And what about, it was just so beautiful to have a conversation that I had avoided for almost 50 years with my family. And, I know we do wills. I know we do, some people think that they have that part of their house in order. And what I realized is having that conversation with our family, it can just be crucial to growing you together and really having them feel comfortable. I could see that they knew the chaos that I was dealing with losing my father, but they felt at peace knowing what, that they could help carry on that legacy. So that's the one piece is having that, having your house in order is a great way to love your neighbor, love your friends, love your family, having those conversations. There's a lot happening in the world right now, and we just never know. We never know when that time will come. And it's better to take, I have a notebook now with my passwords, and, like I put bills in there, and I've put all of this stuff so they're not spending months and weeks and sometimes even years sorting through stuff. It's just been really great. The other thing is, when we look at love your neighbor, we look at things like giving back to the community, getting to know our neighbors, helping our neighbors. I want to also talk about shopping local. And I want to talk about, looking within our friends and family and our network. And sometimes we may say, oh, I'll save money on Amazon. But what if we were to help love our neighbor by spending a little bit more and supporting somebody that's local, supporting somebody that's a family business. And so, really looking at those key places of, how am I going to love my neighbor? What can I do to be a contributor? The other thing is, you've heard sharing is caring. And so when you have good news, when you have good things happening, it's like, take that time to share, spread good news. We need more good news right now. More than ever do we need good news. So spread it. If it's about you, don't look at it like you're bragging. Just share. Like, let people know the good things that are happening, because we need to hear good news. The good news elevates everybody. I don't know about you, but whenever I hear somebody that's doing something good, I'm just like, yes, this is, I love hearing about successes and joys and overcoming obstacles. Also in loving your neighbor and in community, I find that it's important to lean into people. A lot of people leave people hanging. Ghosting is a term we've heard. And so leaning into people and just saying, hey, I can't, I don't want to do this. I'm not, like really being upfront so that energy is clear. Like just say, I'm not interested. I'm done. I have something else I'm focusing on. I'm going in a different direction. So really articulating where you're at so that we don't ghost and leave people. That's another way of loving your neighbor, and investing in your community. What is it that you can do to invest locally in your community, whether it's time, talents, or treasures? Those are things that all make a difference. And right now, as we have, in my time, the most divisive things happening in the world is to really love people, even if they have different beliefs. Really, you don't have to hang out with your neighbor. You don't have to agree with them, just loving them. And one of the ways of loving people is getting curious and asking why, finding out why maybe they think the way they think, and really listening with an open heart of why do they believe what they believe, or think what they think, or think what they do. But at the end of the day, some of the greatest ways that we can do this is just treat them with the love and respect that we want in return. And so, as we go into the end of the year and the next year, if you haven't taken time to get your house in order, please do that. Please, 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 take care of your family and your friends. That's the greatest gift you can give them, is clarity. And then look at how you can love your neighbors even more and make that difference in the world, because we need lots of love and lots of acceptance and respecting each other, even if there are differences. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, my love. Thank you. And as I'm going to say it again, but I'm sure that you've been in my head. You've been just listening to everything that I've been discussing with my mentors and with people, because you're talking about love thy neighbor. There's a couple of things that really came through about love my neighbor. He said to me about when you go to Starbucks or you go through a drive-through, is pay for the person behind you. Now, I always used to give money to somebody that was in the street, or go and buy them a cup of coffee, but obviously we haven't been going out as much due to the world situation. And so the other day I took my son through to the McDonald's drive-through, and I said, I'm going to pay for the person behind in the car. And they said, oh, right, okay. And my son was like, why are you doing that, Mum? I said, because it's a good thing to do. And I haven't done it for a while. It was a reminder that I had. It's a really good thing to do. And he said, what happens if their order's like £50? And I was like, well, that doesn't matter. I'm still going to pay for it. He was totally shocked. It was, it was £5. And it was really nice because it was a happy meal. It was a children's meal that they had for their son. So that was lovely. And then we drove off. I was just getting a coffee for my son. So just you think I'm always in McDonald's. And then we did it again when I took my daughter to Starbucks. We actually paid for the people behind as well. And it's just a lovely, lovely gesture. And as you know, love thy neighbor, because the law of the universe is polarities. We have cause and effect. It's the law of nature. What goes, what you give, you receive. That's how it works. So when you're saying about love thy neighbor and sharing is caring, that's exactly what we need to kind of think about. And sometimes it's like, yeah, but if I give, am I going to receive? And it's not about what receiving. The universe will support you in that way. And that family love letter, I absolutely love that. Thank you so much. As you say about having your house in order, I've been through the same situation with my father-in-law. But you have the wills in place, and I even know the songs that I'm going to have at my funeral. It's obviously going to be Whitney Houston, and then it's going to be a bit of ABBA, and it's going to be a dancing queen. So but we've told the children the same thing, is that I saw it on a movie, that we're going to have a cardboard box as a coffin. And I don't want all the fancy stuff. It's going to be a cardboard box, and then people can write things, paint pictures, stick stuff on it, and it's a little bit like a craft. And I thought that was really, really nice. And my daughter said, well, I'm not going to draw pictures on your coffin after you've gone. I said, of course you will, because I want everyone to have fun. So a really, really good reminder for all of us to keep our house in order. So thank you so much. I get so much out of these shows. So I hope you do too. Please leave us some messages. We are now going back. We're staying in the USA. We're going to Washington now, and we have this lovely lady. Oh gosh, and as I say, the energy. Again, we met on the telephone, and the love that came through her heart. She's a doula, but she's from a family of doulas as well. And when I was listening to the story about how many single mums that she's actually helped, and also on top of that, about 10 years as a nun. We've had people that have gone off being monks for 10, 12, 15 years and turned their life around, and then come back and built massive businesses. And this is the thing, she's got so many stories. She's written a book, Awake to Racism, and she's now working on another book to do with alcoholism. But again, She's all about change. She believes that change is possible, and I can't wait to hear Joann now have her 8 minutes. So welcome, welcome, welcome to Hit Talks, my love.
Thank you very, very much, Vicki. This is exciting. It's my first time on Hit Talks, and I've been very inspired by the other speakers so far with their great service to neighbors, to children, to young men in prison, and taking care of oneself, which is one of the themes I want to address. Related somewhat to what you brought up at the beginning, Vicki, about service, being of service, giving, flowing like water. In some ways, especially during this pandemic, I've had to learn new ways of being of service, being rather isolated in my home. I turned 80 during the pandemic and have been here with my husband, not able to do some of the things I normally do to give service. I was a teacher for 27 years. So my big takeaway from the pandemic has been learning to take care of me as a way of taking care of you, because that we are all so interconnected. We're all waves on one sea. I learned about self-sacrificing and giving very well in my youth. And I had a wonderful mother who was self-sacrificing sometimes to the point of martyrdom as an ideal, depriving herself of food and her own clothing in order to take care of us. She did finally, though, put her foot down when my father's drinking got out of hand and he became violent toward her. She kicked him out when I was 15 and would not only not allow him in the home, but in the city without her permission for the rest of her life. She learned the hard way that taking care of herself was taking care of the family. She did continue to care for him, but at a distance. In my 20s, I had become a nun. I entered at 17. I taught high school. I loved teenagers. I got very involved in the civil rights movement, the anti-war movement. I learned how to stand up to churches, governments, judges, jails. I once faced 35 years in federal prison for an action to stop napalm from killing children in Vietnam. I probably, though, still saw the world at that time as divided into them and us, good and evil. It was somebody else's fault that the world was such a mess. And I wasn't that good at taking care of myself. It wasn't offered as a value, really, to women back in the 50s and 60s. But as long as I could make a difference with social action, I felt my life was worthwhile, and I still do. However, during the pandemic, I couldn't even go to a protest. I live next to Washington, D.C., where you can go to a protest every day if you want. But I wanted so much to be at the Black Lives Matters protest for George Floyd's murder. And I had to find a way to do things from my home that made a difference in people's lives. I could still call my congressman, I could vote, I could call people urging them to vote, write articles, donate money to causes, speak out on social media, and, as you said, I published a book for the first time, Awake to Racism. But physically, I needed to isolate myself because I was in a category that was very vulnerable to the disease. plus having family members who were quite vulnerable to getting ill. And that's how I had to learn that, as difficult as it was for me as an activist and a teacher, self-sacrificing for others, a long life of doing that, I had to learn that taking care of me is taking care of you and the world. Why? Because we are so interconnected with one another. I am you. You are me. There is no them and us. This is the illusion that brings us poverty, war, greed, racism, sexism. That sense that we are different, when all human beings, the refugees coming from Afghanistan, all people who suffer, want just safety, education for their children, good food, water. It's very simple. And I learned a lot about social action from my meditation teacher, whom I met 30 years ago. He was in exile from Vietnam, where he saw thousands of family members and friends killed by US bombs. And he taught me that when I'm being a social activist, the first thing I have to do is take care of my own breath. Calm my body, my mind, my emotions by breathing in and breathing out. Coming to the present moment and being realistic about what I can do and what I need to reach out to others to help me do. If I can calm myself first, then I am in shape to focus on what the best action is to take care of you. He also taught me about interbeing. It's a word that he coined, interconnectedness, that I am so deeply connected to you and to nature, to Mother Earth, that just breathing in and breathing out for maybe 3 breaths sometimes can bring that connection back to my mind and help me be aware of what's going on. It helps me be right-sized, happier, and full of the energy of life. Mindful breathing leads to mindful action to help others without harming my own life. We are sharing the same air, needing all of us to be aware and responsible for one another's lives. Mindful breathing now is something I'm very aware of, wearing my mask, getting vaccinated, urging others to do so, because I breathe out and possibly can harm you. So I have to be very mindful of my breath and my actions. In these days, I am conscious that we are one world, that if we don't come together and act as one, then we may not have a world. So I'd like to close with the words to a song that we use in our meditation practice with children. And it comes from a Baha'i quote, the first line. We are all waves on one sea. We are all leaves on one tree. We are all stars in one sky. The time has come for us to live as one. We are all waves on one sea. Thank you very much for listening. I may have lost track of time, and it's a joy to be on Hit Talks. Thank you, everyone. You all inspired me so much, and I'm looking forward to the rest. Thank you.
Thank you. We are one. You hit the nail on the head. You, me, everybody watching this, the energy, the connection, we are one. And what really came to me when you were talking about that, the amazing story that you've been on, and I know that there is so much more that you're going to be able to share about your story after the conversation that we had as well, to really inspire. But it's about taking care of ourselves. And as we said earlier in the show as well, with everything that's going on in the world, loving thy neighbor, as Shannon said, the world is becoming divided. So it's for us to stay in our own lane, as I like to say as well, and take care of ourselves. The breath work is so important. Breath work and meditation has been truly pivotal in my growth. It's something that I didn't realize how important it was at one stage. We're not taught this in schools. We're not taught how to use our breath to calm us down, to use our breath for emotions. It's, we're not taught to sit, as I say, and go inside and feel. So the whole education system needs to be totally revamped. So maybe this is another vision for all of us together. We're doing it step by step. And we will talk about the next generation of HIT Talks at another time. But yes, ask for help as well. That's the thing. How many of you out there are trying to stay in your lane, for instance, or there's something that you want to be able to do, going back to your purpose or going back to your vision or going back to what you want to be able to do, and you want some help? That's the thing. Sometimes we're just programmed to not ask and think that we have to do it all alone. But love thy neighbor. Ask for help and help will be given. So thank you so much, my love. Thank you. Now we are going to travel across the world again. And where are we going next? So I'm just getting into my aeroplane. We're going across to New Zealand, all the way to New Zealand. So we've had Australia, we've had New Zealand in the house, and we have another OG, which is an original gangster. So Tony has been with HIT Talks before through the Golden Door Awards, who's our partner. And so he knows the drill. But what I love about Tony is he's talking about he's a conscious entrepreneur, and he's like all of us, dedicated to awakening freedom. So he's utilizing blockchain technology. So I love blockchain. I love the way it's actually helping us go into the new wealth creation and into the new world of the financial system. It's our sovereignty. So this is what Tony is putting his life work to now. But I'd love to actually give you your 8 minutes, Tony. So you're going to be able to share your story again, or it might be a different one this time, with HIT Talk. So welcome back, my friend.
Vicky and everybody, I'm really, it's an honor to be here, and I appreciate this time to be able to give my talk. I've been a serial entrepreneur for about 30 years. I've spent a lot of time developing different projects, but I was always struggling. I always found I was always struggling, never really was able to get ahead. And I had a lot of issues with the money side of things. And I was in a spiritual business, but integrating money and spirituality was always one of my key goals. And I realized that after I lost one of my businesses and I was very down and out, I was heavily in debt. And I realized that a lot of the world is actually based on debt. And the system is very centralized. But I also realized that it was time for me to take responsibility. Take responsibility for my life. No one else was to blame. It's only me here. However, I did realize the system has some serious flaws, which does contribute to a lot of misery in the world. A centralized system that is money is actually debt. And it's created by a very small group of people that has a very large effect on everybody else. So my journey took me to looking at blockchain. I heard about Bitcoin, but I moved on to understanding what blockchain really is. And really, it's just code. They call it protocol. They say the value is in the protocol. And we are all code. Our DNA is code. Nature has a code. We have different codes for each of the elements. And I'm very much a natural born lover of I love nature, and I coined the phrase natural intelligence. And to me, natural intelligence is our innate consciousness when all the elements are in balance. But I tended to avoid artificial intelligence because I thought that was just another control system. However, I realized that artificial intelligence has a very beneficial effect when it's coded in the right way by conscious beings, particularly when the coding is based on decentralization, the complete opposite to central control. This blockchain, decentralized blockchain, is a foundation. It is a very beneficial code that can distribute wealth and energy into the whole population ultimately. Whereas at the moment, it's sort of tends to favor a few. So what I realized from decentralized, what does it actually help us with? It enables us to be our own bank. We can interact peer-to-peer, person-to-person. This is cutting out the middleman. It's reducing the fees that get in the way. Ultimately, what decentralized does is, as people get drawn to certain projects, it creates liquidity. And liquidity is really what makes it. It's really energy. Liquidity is also the opposite of debt. And liquidity is related to our emotions as well. Water is related to our emotions. Money is actually a word from the moon, which also relates to our emotions. And you can look at liquidity like a river. A river flows from its source. It flows from high ground to low ground. So you could see the source as innovation. We could see it as say something like the blockchain. This is a high ground kind of innovation, and as the river flows downstream, it's enriching all the land. And with a river, we also have river banks, and so the bank is on the side of the river, and is what we have with the energy of the water, or the money flow is flowing into the banks, and then it tends to flow back upstream and doesn't tend to reach a lot of the people. So with blockchain and decentralization, we can create tributaries of those rivers. We can send the money flow or the energy, the current, the currency, which is what money is, into the hands of the people. And this is how I see how natural intelligence, the elements of water and earth, the foundation of earth and water and air as the innovation, the mind power, and fire being our heart and our soul. We can bring all these elements together while we're dealing with a true currency that lights us up, just like electricity has a current, water has a current. We can be energized through a true medium of exchange, which is what money or currency is endeavoring to do. It's just a tool. Money is a tool. However, it needs to have a system where it can flow to the people. And with debt, when you've got too much debt in the world, you've got stagnation. You could liken debt to a cesspool or a stagnant pool of water that's not moving. It's basically creating a bit of a stink. Whereas when water is flowing, when energy is flowing, we can really enhance all of the people. So in closing, we can create peace, we can create freedom, we can create prosperity for the world when we are all coming together and exchanging true energy. And thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much for sharing that. And what I took out of that was the words that you said about the moon being linked with emotions, and how powerful, when we think about, I do a lot of work, we just gone past the full moon, the second blue moon. Did you know that? So I find the energies of the moon really, really powerful. And when we actually align ourselves with the energies of the moon, as you say, with river, with peace, and liquidity is energy. Everything is energy. The phone that you're on, the computer that you're on, my glasses, every single living thing and every single solid thing. So it doesn't have to be movie like me. Movie, that's a made up word. It's everything vibrates, everything is energy. And sometimes when we understand that, that's why I find it so important that I've got to keep my energy high. And I'm like this all the time. Honestly, it's not just Hit Talks that I have this energy. I think my husband thinks I'm a Duracell bunny that never runs out. But you've got to keep your energy high, and then you attract high energy people to you. You keep your positivity high, you attract positivity to you. And this is the thing, you keep, love and peace and love thy neighbor, and then it comes back to you. So thank you so much for sharing that. And now we are going again to another part of the world, a part of the world I absolutely love. Well, I love all places in the world. I've been blessed to travel to many places, but we are going to Mexico. And this lady, you don't need to put the bio on yet, Jane, but this lady, not only is she the Seminar of Hispanic Entrepreneurs Ambassador of Mexico, who is, and the Seminar of Hispanic Entrepreneurs is my good friend Veronica Sosa, who you will see again very soon, who runs that organization, as well as but many other organizations. And I think I might have said it wrong. I can't see you, V, but I can see that you're here. Love you. But she, honestly, when I first met her, she just kind of she shines. And on my birthday, where was I on my birthday? I was somewhere, and she sent me this beautiful image that she'd created from she. Just saying, with love from everybody, all of the ambassadors, all the members of she. It's a global community for the Hispanic entrepreneurs, and it was just so nice. She just she's just one of these really thoughtful people. As we go back, when we say love thy neighbor, and she is there again to help people transformation. This is the thing about Hit Talks. It's hope, inspiration, and transformation. That's what we're all about. So this is her second language, and I know she's going to do absolutely brilliantly. So my darling, I now give you your 8 minutes, and welcome to Hit Talks.
Thank you very much, Vicky. You are very, very lovely with your words. Oh my God, it's a wonderful bienvenue. Thank you. It's a pleasure for me to stay here. And especially I want to say thank you all of partners, speakers here, because like you are telling, is all the thing in this world is energy, is true, and we are part of this energy. And then I want to say thank you, especially thank you for all the people who's watching this program right now and later, because your energy contributes to we stay here, you know. You are co-creators, and then this is your co-creation. We are here for you. And I hope that all the words of my partners and mine will be something useful for you, all right? I'm sure that we are energy, and like you say, like we are created by our creator, the energy. We create all around us with words, with thoughts, with beliefs, all the things that we feel. It's the basic for create our reality, you know. But it's inner reflection, and that is that I want to say to you, Vicky. I only am a mirror, and you're looking there, you know. Thank you very much. I'm Yinnay Lotus from Mexico, and here I am to share with you a big secret for me. I discovered this secret a long time ago, and I want to share with you because I think that is so basic to have something like your water or your food, you know. This is a tool that changed my life, and I want to share with you how to change it, and maybe you can use it. Then, everything that we do in this world is a decision, and only me have a decision in my life, like you have yours. Then my recommendation is not let anything, your power, your opinion, or your decisions in another hands or something or somebody out of you. You are the only one that have the power to make the change that you want. And let me tell you, together with my discovery, I learned from the universe that the universe doesn't respond to your requests or minds or wishes or illusions or dreams. No. The universe responds only to the frequencies. All the vibration that you are emitting has an answer by the universe. For example, if you think that all the women have to do something, the universe bringing to you that experiences to have once in another time the same experience and the same thing that you are telling, you know. How to discover this secret? Well, a long time ago, when my child was so young, the youngest has 3 years old only, I decided to do two things, because like a psychologist, I want a perfect life, you know. I want to be perfect wife, mother, and have the perfect work and all the things that I saw around me without know that I was creating. But I want all the perfect in my life. Then I choose two things. One, to do meditation. Second, to study numerology, to describe or understand better the human behavior. And then when I was meditating, my youngest son coming running to me all the time and saying, "No, mommy, don't go away, don't go away." it was so funny for me because I say, I don't live in, it is only go to meditate, that's all. But I took my child in my arms and we meditating together. Usually he finished sleeping. But when one time I go to meditate and he comes again and told me, Mommy, please, please take me with you, please. But that please, it was so powerful. And then I take in my arms in I can feel the vibration in his body telling me, thank you, Mommy. Thank you for taking me with you and don't let me alone again. It was so like a tattoo in my spirit, in my heart, and it was recorded in my being the certainty that it is not enough to say thank you. We say thank you for everything, but how many times you say thank you with your heart, vibrating in your cells, in your heart, in all your body? That is the key, you know. And this is a very special thing because it's a power that when you open your eyes, realize that it's a new day to better the better version of you. Is the opportunity to learn more things, to share with your time, your abilities, your capability. I don't know, for a lot of things, you know. And then with the time, it is so easy to say, but do it is more difficult. For me, it takes some years to learn how to do it. And I choose a discipline to say to me every day, thank you for something. 10 things along today. And now I say that I know that is perfect to say thank you for my life. It's the first time. It's the first thing that I think that you have to grateful. Now I say thank you for my children, for my life in general. And I invite you to practice the gratitude in each thing, in each experience that you have day by day. Give thanks for all that you have, but two, for all the things that it's not arrived yet, like if this chose you have right now, you know, because the secret that I have to you is, I swear, I promise, I know the universe conspires in favor to you always. Then thank you so much, Veronica Sosa, to invite to experiment this situation. Thanks, Vicky Thomas, to receive me to me, your kindness, and thanks all of you to listening and stay here for us today. Thank you very much from Mexico with her.
So lovely. I could listen to you all day long, and you know, it's so lovely. That's what I love about what we're all doing here. And as I say, Hit Talks isn't about me. You know, we have Philip Seitz from the British School of Etiquette. We have Veronica Sosa, my dear friend. We have Tahira from the Golden Door Awards. We have so many people that are actually supporting us and, you know, bringing their amazing speakers, you know, second, third, fourth languages. You know, we've had people on here that are speaking, you know, speak so many languages. I speak 3 languages. I'm really proud of those 3 languages. And so, oh, you want to know what they are, won't you? So I speak English, I speak American, and I speak Australian. So, you know, I'm really, really, you know, proud of myself for being able to speak those languages. But no, you've done absolutely brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly. So thank you so much. And one thing really, really resonated into every single cell of my body was the universe responds to frequency. Yes, yes, yes. This is what we were saying earlier about everything being vibration. everything. And, you know, what you give out, you receive back. So if you're giving something out on this frequency, you will receive something back on this frequency. If you're giving something out on, you can't see me, on this frequency, you'll receive something back on that frequency. So yes, love that share, love that share. I don't want this show to end, but we have our final speaker. And Dino, I think I messed up a little bit earlier as I got so excited about, you know, presenting everyone I'd spoken to, that I think I got some of their job descriptions mixed up. So I'll have to watch the replay. But we are going to Chicago now to Carol. And Carol is the life and birth expert. And she has actually helped clients all over the world to actually bring their dreams and manifest their dreams into reality. And she has an impact on everybody in the world. She's called it the butterfly effect. But again, for me, I don't like bios. I love the people when you feel them and you actually feel their energy and you speak to them, and it's just magnetic. And you will find this with Carol as well, a magnetic personality who's really out there to help people change their life, change their perspective through the butterfly effect, which I absolutely love. So lovely to be to have you here, Carol. My words aren't coming out now. I'm just so excited. So lovely to have you here, Carol. I now give you your 8 minutes.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful. I love listening to the other conversations that were going on. You know, most people want to run away from the good, the bad, and the ugly. But in life, that's your defining lessons. Your contractions, what I call the contractions in life. So I'm going to share a quick story. I was in 3rd grade, and my 3rd grade teacher on the last day of school brought me up to the front of the class, and she told me to turn around and look at them and said, "You are never to talk to Carol again. She does not belong here. She has no right to be amongst the 4th graders, soon to be 4th graders." And she told me to leave the building immediately. Obviously, I was distressed, confused. I did not know that she was flunking me. And I was all alone, walking home from school with no friends, isolated, shunned, and removed. My mother was livid. She had me tested at a private school that was a college preparatory elementary school for Northwestern. And of course, my confidence was in the pits. So I didn't think that I would pass the entrance exam, but I did. By changing my environment, I met a wonderful teacher. And it turns out that my fellow students, there were 18, from around the world. Their parents were going to Northwestern. So in that moment, looking at that event through the child's eyes, it wasn't there to hurt me. It was there to direct me. There's a couple of things that happened from there. I became a master connector. I have friends all over the world, over 10,000 people in my phone, and I build friendships. But one of the memories that stands out for me that gave me another direction, while I was at that school in Evanston, my mother was a volunteer at a orphanage, and she would pick up newborn babies, bring them to the house until the nurse would come and take them to the adoptive parents. But this one time, I got out of school early, so she asked me to come with because she was picking me up from school. And so we went, and there was a very, very angry nurse. And she startled me. I didn't like her. And she ripped a piece of tape off this baby's back, and it started to bleed. And she told this little infant who was now all alone, abandoned, unloved, unwanted, not valued, obviously, from this nurse. And he screamed. My mother was livid. And I saw the difference in the caring that my mother had in relationship to this nurse. And it had a profound effect on me. And I thought to myself, at a little age, that somehow I've got to make a difference. I've got to change this, because that mother would have never given up that baby if she had known that would have been its first experience. There's an attitude of harshness. Why was that nurse so willing to hurt somebody else? How was she hurting herself? So ultimately, after I started having my own children, I ended up becoming a childbirth educator, and we had unwed moms obviously coming to class. And here we were. The baby is never the problem. It's what we think about an event. And we're not willing to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly, how we feel ashamed or whatever. But that is your golden nugget that helps you reach out to somebody else. And so we had unwed moms coming to our home. They would stay either before, during, or after. We've served over 4,000 families in our doula family. We are a family of doulas. All my daughters and my 2 sons have helped out at births. And along the way, when I was given up for dead, sent home to die, I went 96 days on only water and prayer. The good, the bad, and the ugly, right? When the doctor said there's no hope, the thing that made a difference for me in the first lesson was by changing my environment and changing my association. It gave me a different direction and view of myself. And when someone spoke into me, I wasn't alone anymore. And so when the Western medicine doctors gave up on me and told me I was going to die, I found the words coach at the cellular level in the intensive care voiced audibly. In that pause of a moment, I was all alone. Sometimes you hear a voice in your heart, or you feel something that catapults you. I heard those words on the radio, and I called, and it turned out to be an alternative health institute in the Chicagoland area, and learning about foods with bioelectrical charge. But you know, when I thought the worst of the worst was happening, my children were looking at me, and I believed them, and I thought, what's my last life lesson that I'm going to teach my kids? And I said, you all have to go out and find someone to help. You know, God's character development plan, he has a sense of humor. My number 5, Jamie, she went on a people-to-people student ambassador trip to Fiji. And she found a high school, and the kids were getting sick on the water and giving up on their dreams. And the classroom could only hold 25, but there was 300 students at the school. And the average family earns about $3,000 a year. And the kids had to pay $500 to go to school. Do the math. This contrasting moments has now expanded that project. I helped co-create a $60 million school campus in Fiji. My dad was the 4th largest contractor here in Chicago. What you have enough to make an impact and a difference. If you're open and willing, if you look into somebody's eyes as one-day-old babies and you see them for the value that they are, if they're in a contrasting moment, love them. They're only one-day-old babies. They might be 6 feet tall, but love them for where they're at. I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. In closing, my values is loved, wanted, and valued, and you're important. Thank you.
Hey. Look at that. It's perfect. Perfect timing. We heard the ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. And what an absolutely amazing end to this absolute fantastic episode. And can you remember me at the beginning saying that the energy just flows through as if we all know what everyone else is talking about? Because we're talking about love thy neighbor, reach out for help, how, you know, you change our environment and our association and life lessons. You know, and nobody knew what anybody else was going to talk about, and it just flows. And this is the thing, we're on the energy, as I say, of water, where water flows, energy flows, we're all a vibration. And so I'm totally grateful from the bottom of my heart to absolutely every single person that's actually here on the live watching us and supporting us, for everyone on the replay watching us, supporting us, and of course our speakers. I want to leave with a quote. And this came through. My desk is full of quotes. And this is from Richard Nixon. And it says, among other things, crisis represents opportunities to grow in wisdom. When you approach each crisis with this attitude, you will pluck the opportunity out of each situation and benefit from it. This attitude also sets the stage mentally for you to continue to grow. And that's the thing. We are going to continue to grow. Surrounding ourselves with the right people, we're going to continue to grow. All of the messages that we talk about, you know, the energy, the vibration, using our heart, you know, our family love letters, love thy neighbor, sharing is caring, taking care of our breath, you know, liquidity of energy, yeah, asking for help, emotion, all of these things. It's just like magical. So again, I literally am so blessed to have every single one of you here, and I'm so grateful. What I would like to ask you is please subscribe to our YouTube channel, because the only way that we're going to be able to get these messages out is by more people coming in and listening to these messages as well, of hope, inspiration and transformation. If you would like to be one of our speakers, please reach out to us with the Hit Talks team. It'd be fantastic to have you on. If you know anybody that you think this would be able to, we'd be able to serve, then please let us know. If you would like to host your own special edition, again, please let us know, because you could actually be me. And that is where you find your 8 speakers and you host the show. So you do the introductions and bring everything together like I'm doing here. So that's really exciting, because we have a couple of special editions coming up in the next couple of months as well. So the next Hit Talks is going to be a special edition with our partners, the Golden Door Awards, and that is on the 15th of September. Yes, that's right. Is it 15th of September? I think it's the 15th of September. I can't read. And that is with Tahira, and that is going to be the winners of her Golden Door event, and it's 8 p.m. Singapore time. Okay, then we're coming back live to you with our Hit Talks, whether or not it's hosted by me or whether or not it's hosted by Philip Sykes. We haven't decided yet. Maybe both of us, we don't know, but that is going to be on the 16th of September. So many other exciting things that's coming up. So please keep tuned. And I want to, again, from the bottom of my heart, say thank you to every single one of you that's here, because we couldn't do this without you. Love you all. Bye-bye. Bye. I think there's a video that's going to play.